Hey guys, what we're going to talk about today and show today is body upgrade on this top-selling X6. I know I've been kind of hopping on this quadcopter for a couple weeks now, but we have some new stuff in the works. I have 4 or 5 quadcopters coming in the mail from both Banggood and GearBest, so we'll have some cool stuff coming up. Just kind of waiting on the slow boat from China, if you will. But anyways. Moving on to this, I was out flying this today, and I had cracked this arm before and super glued it, and I've just found that super glue really doesn't hold up, and sure enough, it cracked again. So what I'd like to do, since this is a Hubsan X4 clone, is replace this body with the Hubsan 107D body. This is off the FPV Hubsan X4. I think it'll be a great improvement because the body is made of a little different plastic, so I think it'll be a little sturdier. Plus, it has the breakaway arms, so that'd be a big improvement. And I'm not sure if it's lighter or not. What I'll do is I'll throw this on the scale when I get the body off of the top-selling X6, so that way we can compare weights too. So that's what we're gonna do. So we'll start taking it apart, we'll get the scale out, we'll do some comparisons, and then we'll start putting it together. So the first thing we're going to want to do here is pull the props off it. We'll just use this little prop removal tool here. We'll just pop all 4 props off. And when you lay the props, take the props off, you're going to want to put them down in the same position that you took them off in, remembering which way is forward. That way you don't get confused as to which prop goes where. And the next thing we're going to want to do is flip it over. There's a screwdriver. We'll flip it over, and we have 4, 5, 6 screws on this. We get 4 on the ends here and 2 in the center. So we'll just pop these screws off. So we get all our screws off, and we should be able to just simply work our way around and just pull this thing apart, like so. Pulling it off the motors first, and then separating it. There we go, in the middle there. So, like I said, that is the one downside of the Hubsan design, is on this, if you just wanted to replace the body with another top-selling X6, you could simply just take it apart like this, unscrew the main board, unscrew the battery bay here, and pull the camera module out, and then just slide the LEDs and the motors out, and you had the whole thing together. You don't have to desolder anything. Where with the Hubsan, I'll just snap this off real quick to show you. You don't have that luxury. You have to actually desolder the motors and feed the wires down through the motor hole, the motor pod, and run the wires down into the body and resolder it to the board. Which, if you're okay with a soldering iron, it's not a big deal. But I do like this design a little better as far as serviceability. Whether it's sturdier or not as sturdy is tough to say. I mean, I've broken Hubsan X4s and I've broken this thing, so who am I to say what's better and what's not? But this body, I feel like it's a little different material. When they add this shininess to the plastic, I feel like it makes the plastic a little brittle. And this is more of a flat white, a duller color. So I have a feeling that this will be much sturdier. I mean, it feels sturdier, or more, I shouldn't say sturdier, it feels more flexible. So it should be able to handle impacts a little bit better. So what we'll do next is we will take the camera module out. And that's done by simply removing these 4 screws here in the camera module. And now you should be able to gently work that camera module out. So there we go. Now that's removed. Now what we'll do is we'll unscrew the main board here. And there's 2 screws. There's one here and there's one here. So we'll just unscrew those. unscrew, to move this motor wire out of the way. Unscrew that one. And that will free up the main board. And now we can just simply pull the motors out and pop the LEDs out one at a time. Nice and easy. And there you have it. All the motors stuck together, all magnetic. But so there's your top shell, your bottom shell, and here's all your flight control stuff. And what you want to do is just separate all this stuff just to make it easier to work with. The motors are all magnets, so they want to stick to each other. There we go. We'll separate them all like that, real nice. So there's our quadcopter all disassembled. So alright, so what we'll do is we'll start off by putting all the screws on. They're going flying off of there. So these are all the screws out of the top selling X6 body, and we'll throw the body on there. We have exactly 11 grams. So now what we'll do, we'll pull that off and we'll take away 4 screws because there'll be 4 less screws in the new setup. Put the little rubber feet on off of the Hubsan body, and then we'll put the Hubsan body on the scale. And surprisingly, we were actually 2 grams heavier with the Hubsan body. Not exactly what I expected. It felt a little bit lighter in the hand, but those 2 grams I don't think will really affect the flight characteristics all that much. And like I said, I think we're going to get a lot more durability with this body on here. But, you know, for those who would like to know, there we go. It's 2 grams heavier. So we'll continue with the body swap. So the first thing we're going to want to do here is desolder the motors. We can leave the LEDs on, but the motors have to come off. So first thing I did is I labeled on a piece of paper here, black, white, red, blue, white, black, blue, red, just so I know exactly where these motor wires are located on the board. So what we're going to do is use a little bit of solder braid and our soldering iron, and we will just desolder these motors off the board. It's actually a bit easier. I think we'll just use the solder braid for cleanup to just kind of reach in, you know, pull on the wire and just heat it up and pull the wire out of the solder. And then we'll go over the pads with the solder braid afterwards, just to pull the, clean the pads up and get them ready to be resoldered on. So now that we have all our motors desoldered, we're ready to bolt this board or screw this board into the new body. So that'll go in just the same way it came out. So here's our body, here's the rear, here's the battery wire. So we'll just set that body in there, or that board in there. And let's see, how good did they clone this thing? What I found here is this is actually a perfect clone. The spacing on the screws is identical. So this will be nice and easy to just grab a couple screws here. And one thing I didn't mention is that there's 2 different length screws, and these really short ones were the ones that went into the main flight board. So we'll just thread that one in there, like so. Now that our main board's screwed in, one thing I want to mention is when you're screwing the main board in on any quadcopter, you want to make sure it's tight. You know, sometimes the screw is made bottom out. You may need to get a shorter screw for it. If there's any kind of looseness here on the board, it'll vibrate, and that will really affect your accelerometer performance, and it may cause the quadcopter to do things you wouldn't expect it to do. So just pay close attention to that. Make sure they're screwed in properly. So our next step here is going to be to put the LEDs into their proper positions. Now what they've done here is they've taken an actual LED, just a standard LED, and they've bent the tabs up, the legs up, and soldered them in place. So what we want to do is very carefully straighten these little legs out, because we're going to set them down into the body, and we don't want them sticking up like that. They won't fit. And I say be careful and be very precise with what you're doing, because you don't want to bend these around too much. You know, just like anything, you bend it over and over again, it's going to snap right off. Now that we have that like that, we're going to very carefully slide the wires through and then push the LED into place, just like that. Just like so, and then we can just lay the LED wires down into the arm track right there and get them out of the way. At this point, we should have all our LEDs in place, and we're certain that there's no leg shorting, and they should be roughly, you know, wired, and the wire should be roughly run through the arms here, and we're ready to start soldering our motors in place. So with the motors, the first thing we're going to want to do is straighten out the wire on the motor and run it down. We're actually going to have to get ahead of myself here. Take these LED wires out of there, because the motor wire is going to come through the motor pod, through like that. And then we can just simply push the motor down into place. And once we're certain we're in all the way, now we're ready for the next motor. And we'll just work our way around, sliding all the motors into the arms. All the wires are tucked in nice, soldered up. The last thing we'll have to do is just mount the camera module into the bottom half right here. So we'll just simply put the camera in the front there. And the module should just clip right into place, just like that. I just can't believe how well all these components actually fit this other quadcopter. I mean, it just goes to show you how far they went to clone this thing. So we'll just screw those down, and I'll snap it together, and we'll show you the finished product. So here's our finished product. I've actually gone ahead and changed the prop colors. I thought the black and the red looked a little better on the white, but everything fit very well. You know, the camera slid right into place. You know, everything just fits really nice. We still got the spot for the on-off button, spot for the SD card. Plug it in. See that all our LEDs work and light up nice. So all that's left to do now is take it outside and bring it for a quick flight. Okay, we'll do our quick outdoor flight review. As you can see, we've literally gotten about 6 feet of snow in the past 3 weeks. So today would not be a good day to drop this quadcopter being white out in the snow. So we'll test it out. It hovers nice. Let's send it out and see how it goes. It still has its nice smooth flight characteristics, which I really didn't expect any changes. I mean, this is more or less just to make sure everything works, because the bodies are almost identical, just slightly different in design. Let's move it into high rates. Yeah, that thing still flies great. One thing I forgot to mention about this quadcopter in its review is that when you hit the flip button and then you input which direction you want it to flip, if you hold the stick in that direction, it will continuously flip that direction. So let's try it right now. See, as you can see, we did 4 flips there. It was just insane. Oh, got it in the trees there, but I think we're all right. We're all right. Whew! Almost lost it in the trees. Let's bring it closer. But no, all in all, this thing flies great still. I'm happy. I'm happy with the modification, and I think we'll be much better off as far as durability goes with this 107D body. So hopefully this was of interest to somebody. You know, if somebody else does the same modification, you know, let me know. I'd be interested to see it. I appreciate you watching. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe. Thank you.